Welcome back for our latest episode, Japanese and Italian Aggression Before the War. Today, we'll focus on the events leading up to World War II. Here, we see Italy, who's in a state of economic hardship and instability after World War II. Along comes Benito Mussolini promoting fascism and arguing that a strong dictator was what the country needed. However, I suppose not. In 1922, his black shirt followers used violence to eliminate socialist and communist opposition and staged the March on Rome, which led to his appointment as prime minister. Through intimidation and fraud, his party won the 1924 elections of parliament. By 1925-1926, he banned all opposition and outlawed other political parties. He also weakened parliament and established a police state, which gave him complete control over Italy. Italy's conquest of Ethiopia would come to be known as the Second Italo-Abyssinian War. It had previously been defeated at the Battle of Adwa in 1896, leaving Ethiopia independent, but Italian forces remained in the neighboring countries of Eritrea and Somalia. After Mussolini became the dictator in 1922, he sought to expand Italy's empire, restore national pride, and dominate the Horn of Africa. Tensions escalated after the Wall incident in 1934, where Italian and Ethiopian forces clashed. The League of Nations didn't have a military of its own to enforce decisions, and weak economic sanctions of Italy were imposed. Also, Britain and France hoped to keep Italy from allying with Nazi Germany, which forced Ethiopia to face Italy alone. Italy invaded on October 3, 1935, and quickly overwhelmed Ethiopian forces with its modern military, including aircraft and chemical weapons. On May 5, 1936, Italian troops captured the capital, Addis Ababa, and forced Emperor Haile Selassie into exile. Mussolini then named King Victor Emmanuel III Emperor of Ethiopia, formally annexing the country into Italian East Africa. On October 25, 1936, the Rome-Berlin Axis was signed, which formed a political alliance between Fascist Italy and Nazi Germany. During the Spanish Civil War, from 1936 to 1939, Italy and Germany provided military assistance in the form of troops, aircraft, and equipment to support Francisco Franco's nationalist forces, which helped spread fascist influence. On April 7, 1939, Italy invaded and occupied Albania, a small neighboring country. Also, the Rome-Berlin Axis expands from just a political alliance to provide military cooperation and mutual defensive support between Germany and Italy, which is referred to as the Pact of Steel. Now that Italy has joined the war, we're going to rewind back to 1931 to take a look at Japan's aggression. On September 18, 1931, an explosion destroyed a section of a railway track near the city of Mukden. The Japanese who owned the railway blamed Chinese nationalists for the incident and used the opportunity to retaliate and invade Manchuria. However, the bomb was actually planted by Japanese military officers to create an incident that would justify later military actions. Within a few short months, the Japanese army had overrun the region and declared the area to be the new autonomous state of Manchukuo, though the new nation was in fact under the control of the local Japanese army. On February 24, 1993, the League of Nations voted 42-1 in favor of requiring Japan to return Manchuria to China, with Japan casting the only opposing vote. Japan left the League of Nations as they rejected international cooperation and accountability and would pursue expansion without regard for global opinion. This brings us to the Second Sino-Japanese War. Some say the Second Sino-Japanese War began with the Manchurian Incident, but others say it began with the Marco Polo Bridge Incident. On July 7, 1937, conflicts between Japanese and Chinese forces near Beijing escalated into a full war. Japan sought to dominate East Asia and secure economic resources. On December 13, 1937, the Japanese army captured what was then China's capital city of Nanjing and killed roughly 300,000 civilians and many unarmed Chinese soldiers over 2 months. After overrunning the city, the Japanese killed suspected Chinese soldiers, massacred families living outside the safety zones, and raped tens of thousands of women. The Japanese army also looted the city and burned down many buildings. The violence subsided in February 1938 after the formation of a Chinese-led Japanese-influenced government. This would be known as the Rape of Nanking and reflected a military culture that dehumanized the enemy and justified extreme violence. On September 27, 1940, Germany, Italy, and Japan signed the Tripartite Pact, officially forming the Axis alliance. The agreement pledged mutual support if any member was attacked by a country not already involved in the war. December 7th, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. The United States declares war on Japan, formally bringing them both into World War II.